Hey, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded for women and women entrepreneurs, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, and relationships with mind mastery and meditation tools and techniques so that you can live the life that you're proud of. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode. I hope this episode finds you happy and rich and wealthy and maybe famous if you want to become famous. And if you are not feeling those things, then I set the intention that you find a nugget of inspiration today. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about money and fear. And I want to tell you a little story. It's such an exciting time for me that turned into the most darkest time for me. If you've been listening to all of my podcasts, you found there was another podcast where there was a dark moment, and as it relates to relationships. But this became a really dark moment as it relates to business. So I'm going to gear this episode to you women entrepreneurs out there, anybody who's starting a business and anybody who is trying to move forward, but you're coming face to face with fear. So as you remember, if you've been hearing some of my story, ever since I was little, I've been very active. And then as soon as I could gain some knowledge, I was always trying to help people who were complaining about fitness. Complaining about their health or wanting to lose weight or pain in their body or anything. And even when I was like in junior high and high school, I've always been into fitness and helping people lose weight or gain strength or whatever. And then that progressed all the way through college and well into my 20s and 30s. And I still talk about it a little bit now, but my focus has shifted to more of a transformational growth than just physical growth or physical transformation. So anyway, I was a personal trainer and I had left this gym that I was working at and went out on my own, and I was doing this outdoor boot camp, which was very successful. I had lots of people in my class. It was very popular, lots of great testimonials, people, mostly women. I would say it's probably 90% women. And even the guys that were there were husbands of the people that were in my class. But I decided it was probably my second year, I decided that instead of renting space from somebody else and sharing space come the winter, that I would try to find my own space. And I created this big offer of other programs that I was going to be offering these ladies in my class, other than just workout. We did nutrition assessments. We were doing pain assessments and physical therapy, massage therapy, food journaling, nutrition work, more emotional work, because at this point I was starting to kind of transition in my own life from physical transformation to more like life coaching is where I kind of started going, because I started realizing that these women need more than just to do push-ups and jumping jacks and run a couple miles. They need kind of an attitude adjustment. I mean, we all do, right? When we're trying to push ourselves to reach our goals, we have to change our outlook and our emotional being and our mental being in order to achieve a higher level of success. So I had found this friend that I was working with, and she was kind of this marketing person. And she was kind of a go-getter like I am. Like, I like to move quickly and take big risks and do big things and kind of expand quickly, right? And I had this big vision, And so we started looking for rental space. And if you know anything about Traverse City, it is extremely expensive to rent anything here. And I wanted like a warehouse type where we had big high ceilings and big space, and I had some equipment that was coming in, and spin bikes and mats, and I had a couple of big pieces of leg machines and stuff like that. So, and plus I wanted some office space, and I wanted a massage therapy room, and I wanted a consult room and stuff like that. So she's driving down this road, and we're all kind of looking, and we're calling on some places and whatever, and getting kind of exciting. And then she goes, "I found the perfect space for you." And I'm like, "Okay, where's it at?" And so I go and I look at it, and it's attached to this furniture building store. And the guy owns the entire property, and he rents out the second half. And so I'm like, okay, sweet, I'm going to go look at it. And so I go over there and it's perfect. I walk in and it's just a small little lobby space. Then you kind of go down this hallway and there's 2 offices. And then you at the end of the hall, you take a left and then there's a bathroom and then there's another room with a conference room attached to it. And then you keep walking straight and it opens up into this huge warehouse space. It's like 20-foot ceilings, and it was probably like, I don't know, it was like 50 by 70 or something, with these 2 big garage doors. You go out the back door in these garage, and it's this big space, and then and it connects to this trail that we used to run our 5K on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's absolutely perfect. Now, mind you, go back a little ways. Where was I in my business life? I was a personal trainer and a boot camp instructor. I didn't have employees. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about managing my money. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't really know anything about anything. The only thing I knew was how to create a killer workout for these women to get results. I knew how to handle my client. I knew how to talk to her. I knew how to encourage her and motivate her. And I knew how to push her body through these different exercises to get the results that she wanted. That's what I knew. And so that's what I built it on. I'm an expert in that field, and this is what I'm building my business on. Boy, was I in for the shock of a lifetime. So I get into this building, and it was absolutely perfect. Now, I had some savings, so I bought some tables, and I got these stools, and I painted these stools and made the lobby look really nice. I got these big, giant plants, and I bought a new computer and got a POS system, and then I hired a nutritionist who was my boot camp, one of my clients in boot camp, and then I hired a massage therapist, and I hired an athletic trainer who's going to work on my PT type stuff for people who had injuries, and then she was going to do the whole pain assessment. And then I hired my marketer, this girl that helped me find the space. So I had these 4 now employees, and I don't know diddly squat about employees. Okay. So, but I'm gung ho, and now it is like July of 2010, I think. No, 2011. It's like July of 2011. And so I get in and I'm cleaning and I'm painting and I'm fixing things and I'm getting furniture and I'm getting decorations and I'm, I look out in the warehouse and the floor is gross and it's yucky and it's like they worked on trucks in there or something. I don't know what they did. So I hired someone to come and paint the floor and to paint some of the pipes and to kind of clean it up a little bit and to fix one of the garage doors and do all this stuff. And then you look back and it's like, oh, this place is amazing. And then I had a painter come and put my logo out front, on the building, and it was so beautiful and it was so perfect. And then I bought an open flag, that hung at the door, that I could hang up, as soon as I got there, and it would just be this waving flag, it'd get people's attention. And then I had the sign built that I could set out by the road, and it was a perfect location, and it was so perfect, and the interior is perfect, and the people I had working for me was perfect. And I got in there and I froze. I all of a sudden didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get more clients. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to pay my staff. I have never been so full of fear in my life. And so I was in a part of this business group, the personal trainers and starting your personal training business. And I just sucked in this knowledge like crazy. And mind you, I was not managing my money very well. So doing some of these minor renovations and cleanup, I had basically gone through my business savings quickly, like within a month. I'm buying these tables, I'm buying these plants, I'm paying somebody to paint this and paint that. So I'm learning as best as I can and trying to learn as fast as I can. And by November, I was moving out. So I was in there gung-ho through July. Actually, I think I rented it at the end of July. And so I'm doing all these renovations through August. And then by November, I was moving out. And I had signed a year lease. The guy was, he was pretty difficult to work with. I did get along really well with his wife. but he was very abrasive, and he was kind of sexist, and he was always talking down to me, and kind of, it's like those people that you talk to that they always sound like they're yelling at you. And he was kind of like that, even though I think he thought he was being encouraging. But anyway, I was able to negotiate my rental agreement, my per month rental agreement with him in the beginning as I was starting to build clientele. So classes were still going well. I mean, I had people in the class and it was so great. But I realized that I was becoming more and more fearful. Like, I just didn't know how to manage my money. I didn't know how to pay my staff. I didn't know how to budget or save the money I was making. And then, at this point, I'm living in my house. I'm by myself, and I have Bob, who's, he's probably at that time, he was like 17 or maybe just turned 17. I think he just turned 17. And so I'm kind of managing, him. And of course, I need money for my own house, but then I need money for business. And I just didn't know what I was doing. And it was embarrassing. And I don't get embarrassed easily or often. Like, it's not a trait that I adopt, right? And I was embarrassed. I had these 4 people that were counting on me. My marketer she kind of took a crap and disappeared, and couldn't invest the amount of time that I was requiring for my staff. So she left. And then I have, my athletic trainer, who did stick around the majority of the time. My massage therapist was trying to swindle from me. He was trying to gain ownership of the business, which was pretty interesting conversation to be having. Like, I had no idea what was really going on. I thought he was just kind of being cool and nice and whatever. And he's like, telling me that his uncle passed away and he came into all this money. And he's like, if you could do anything with this money, what would you do? If you had $20,000, what would you do with this business? I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm a big visionary. So I'd be like, yeah, I could do this and this and this, right? And he's like, okay, yeah, well, so let me tell you something. He's like, I would like to be part owner in this business, and I want to own 51%. And this was like a Thursday. And I'm like, oh gosh, that sounds pretty good. And then he goes, and my wife is a bookkeeper, an accountant and whatever. So I think that maybe she could do your books. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. Let me think about it, whatever. But at the same time, my intuition kicked in pretty heavy right at that conversation. And on the way home, I kept hearing, no, no, no. And I didn't really understand why. And then the next day, I go in and I talk to him, and I said, I kind of changed my mind. I'm going to keep, sole ownership of the business. And, I would love your ideas. You don't have to invest any money. I was thinking about taking out a loan and, stuff like that. You don't have to invest any money. And, but I don't want your wife to be, I don't want your wife to be doing the accounting. I knew a banker, person. Amy was in my boot camp, and she's a banker, or she was a banker. She doesn't work for a bank anymore, but she's very good with numbers and very good with management. So I was always talking with her and trying to figure things out. And if she could help me, I trusted her 100%, obviously. And so anyway, so I said no. And we were supposed to have a meeting that Tuesday, like a big team meeting. We kind of brainstorm and talk about marketing and what we're going to do and plan, right? And so he calls me and he says, I'm going to be late on Monday. I'm not coming in, or I'm going to be late or whatever to the meeting. And I'm like, okay. I said, since I'm kind of the lead, I'm like, it'd be kind of nice if you asked me instead of just telling me that you were going to be late. And he's just like, matter of fact, I'm not going to come in at all. He's like, I've got other things to do, and so I'm not going to come to the meeting. And that was the last time I ever talked to him and I ever saw him. So obviously he was very hell-bent about not being the owner of my business and not having his wife come in and take over. So these progressive things that were happening were really weighing heavy on me. And he was my massage therapist. And so could I go get another massage therapist? Yes. Could I go get another marketer? Yes. But I didn't have the money. I didn't really have the skills. I didn't have the know-how. So come November, now I don't have money for rent. If you own any kind of a fitness business, any business really has its ups and downs. It has its in seasons and off seasons, right? Well, my off season was winter. And so come like September, when the kids go back to school, I would lose a good handful of my clients. And then of course, October, November, I would continue to lose clients. And so instead of me offering some other service, I was losing people. And then now I'm like paying rent through these months, this is where I need my people. And I didn't have any kind of an at-home program or an online program, even though I kind of knew that I was heading in that direction. I didn't have anything at this point. So now it's November. I am completely broke. The only money that's coming in for clients is actually keeping a roof over mine and Bob's head. Like my money had to pay the mortgage, and I had to pay my utilities and stuff like that. And so I go to the guy who owns the building. And I said, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. And of course he completely goes off the chain. He gets all kinds of pissed off. He's yelling in my face. He's telling me how immature I am, how inexperienced. I'm like, don't you think I know these things already? So anyway, with my tail between my legs and my head down, as far as I just packed up my stuff and I left. And that became a really, really dark time. I felt like a failure. I didn't understand why I wasn't successful. I didn't understand, I put these things into practice. I was setting intentions. I was visualizing. The space couldn't be more perfect. The location, the rooms, the offices, the size, that it was right off these trails. It was perfect. And then all this drive-by traffic, it couldn't be better. Why didn't it work? And I spent probably November, December, January, February, March, probably 4 solid months living in a very, very dark place. And it's like, it was everything in me to get out of bed. And it was everything in me to even go to sleep. I mean, I was like, my brain was rattled. I was thinking, I was completely filled with fear. I was a failure. If there was a picture in the Webster's dictionary next to the word failure, loser, idiot, that was me. There was a picture, and I just could not get out of this space. And people were like, oh, you could rent this space. And, all my clients, you could rent this space. And hey, how about over here? And I'm just like, no. But I remember it being a really dark time. And now I look back at that and I say, what was the difference? What was I intending? What did I want? And was I prepared? So when we talk about business and relationships and your health, there's this place of success where preparedness and opportunity meet. It's this intersection. So I could visualize and I could bring about the best building and the best clients and the best location, but I was not prepared. And so I worked on one side of the equation, but not the other. So have you ever felt like that, where you come to this place and you're like, you meet the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, but you just can't let them in. You just aren't transformed enough to be able to let that relationship in. Or you push play on the business and something is just wrong. You're missing this one skill set. And now you feel like you've missed the opportunity. Now you feel like the opportunity is gone forever. And please understand and please know, if you have ever been in a position like this, where the best opportunity has landed itself straight in front of you and you can't take it for whatever reason, or you are not successful for whatever reason, is just know that opportunity will come back around. It will. So what ended up happening? Of course, I moved out. I never rented space on my own again after that. I stayed in a pretty dark space for a long time. I didn't ever get that ambition to create again. But what I did do, not to create, to go in and create some big brick and mortar building. But what I did do is I created a number of online programs that were much easier. They were certainly less expensive. They hardly, a website or a course location for me to house a course. And I started to sell that. And I was still able to help people, and it was fun to create, and it could create this passive income for me, but I didn't have the stress and the fear. But when I go back and I analyze that fear, I stand and think, what in the world happened? And why did I dog on myself? The only reason I dogged on myself is because I didn't have the skills, and I tried to get the skills while I was there. But because I was in such a fearful state, I couldn't obtain the skills. Does that make sense? When we're emotional, we can't learn to the same capacity than if we were into a calmer state, which is why meditative states are so powerful. Because if you listen to the first podcast, we talk about intentions, and then I forget number 4 or so, where I talk about meditation is woo-woo. I forget what exactly episode it is, but if I talk about, oh, number 6, meditation is woo-woo, I talk about the brain waves. If I'm in beta, that's where the problem was created, was right there. Now, what I could have done back then is gotten into theta and set my intention again, say, I intend to create more clients, and then the ideas would flow. But because I stayed in beta, I just kept pushing things around. I stayed in this fearful state, and I could not create from there. So let's talk about you now. What is in your life? What is happening currently in your life in the areas of health, wealth, or relationships where you're wanting to move forward, but fear stops you? So there's this person I want to ask out, or I want to do this one thing in my business, or I want to start workout and I want to lose weight, or I want to get back in shape, or whatever. And then you make the plan, you talk about it, you get excited, and then you just don't do it. Have you ever been there? Are you currently there? And I want to encourage a little bit more feedback. If you've been listening to me for a little while now, I really would love to have your guys' feedback about what you're hearing in these podcasts and what else you need. Like in your business, you kind of know what I talk about. You kind of know my message. It's about transforming you and then transforming your business or your family or your relationships. Okay, so I need more feedback from you guys. So if there's ever a chance, when you get a second, is to get onto Facebook, find my group page, which is Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind on Facebook, and then make a post in there that says, hey, I listened to podcast number blah, 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 and you're talking about blah, blah, blah. I would love to hear more about blank so I can give back to you, because I'm standing here in my house recording this podcast special for you. But right now, I'm just kind of hoping and speculating what you might need. So now, if I get that feedback from you, I'm going to be able to serve you in a greater way, which is ultimately my goal. So if you're in business and you're like, you know what I really need? I need more marketing ideas, or I need to figure out where to do this, or how to even title my stuff, or who to reach, or how to, whatever, this is the step I'm at. I want to be able to serve you. So please let me know some of that feedback. So think about that when you get a minute. Or if it's in your relationships, I'm in this relationship and it's blank, blank, and blank, and I want to level up, but something keeps stopping me, or I keep recycling the same thing over and over again. Like, have you ever met somebody who is dating somebody and they continue to date the same kind of person? And you're like, what the heck? Like, you just broke up with so-and-so and now you're dating the same exact thing. Well, that's because you, whoever that person is, you did not change. So you're continuously attracting the same type of scenario. And that's all based on your beliefs, and it's based on your vibrational match. So remember when I said, like, you're a 4, if you stay a 4, you're only going to attract 3, 4, and 5 type scenarios. So it is up to you to transform, to bring yourself up, so then you can attract a higher standard of relationship, or a higher standard client, or more money. So if you want more money, don't focus out there on the money and the job and the career. Focus on you and expanding your capacity to hold money. Now, I want to give you another little teaching tool. This was amazing for Amy and I, and it really, really, really gave us this huge amount of control over our income, but also a really big sense of empowerment over our money. And money is a big deal. Every time we get money, we spend money, and we make money, we want more, and there's always more things, which is okay. That's just part of life. As we're in our beta state and we're going about in the world, we just want more things. We want to travel more, we want more freedom, we want more excitement, we want more fun, right? So during COVID, we actually lucked out pretty good. We ended up getting some good money coming in, the stimulus checks and unemployment checks, and I had a couple of big speaking gigs that kind of landed us a good amount of money. And what we decided to do, and Amy is better at this than I am, because she's very grounded, and so she can be very logical, where I am not always so grounded. I have the big vision, the big ideas. And so we always say that she's my anchor to the balloon and I'm the balloon. And so money came in and it went into this account, and we're sitting side by side and we're looking at it. And of course, what we want to do is just go on a vacation and disappear and spend all this money. What we decided to do, though, is we decided to create categories. And we decided to create the necessary categories and fun categories. So we also had another business that's called the Meditation Room, and we sell meditation products. And we were going around 2019, I think we went to like 10 or 12 expos, or like these shows, these mind, body, spirit shows. And we would set up a booth and we would sell our stuff. And I'd have a little speaking spot on stage and we would sell all our meditation products. And so much fun. And we got to travel all over. And but obviously during COVID, that kind of stopped. And but anyway, we still have our products, and so quote unquote we have our business, but we aren't really doing anything until those expos get opened back up. But we had a category for it. So we of course had our category of savings. Then we had our category for business. So we, for marketing, for products, for booth fees, travel expenses, stuff like that. Then of course our family. So us, the boys, trips, vacations, stuff like that. Then we had our bills. And then some adventures, like personal adventures. Like we own a timeshare, and so we have money that goes in to pay for our timeshare. And so we created these categories. Then what happened is all of the money came in. Well, then we decided on what the percentages would be for each of those categories. So what's our percentage for savings, and what's our percentage for our business, and what's our percentage for our family fun and our bills. And then we would just calculate each category and put those percentages. And that was very fun. It was and very empowering. Like we were in control. And like for the first time ever, I'm now in control of my income. And it was amazing. And so then with this money, we look at this money in this account, and now we had a spreadsheet on Google Docs so we could both see it, and we could both, log in, and we shared it, whatever. And so then we put the totals, we put the percentages right next to the name of the categories. And then we put this money through there, and we filtered it through, and we said, okay, so of, let's say $10,000, we're going to put 50% in for bills. And so $5,000 goes in there. And then we're going to put 20% in savings. And so $2,000 goes in there. And then we just kind of filter it all through, and we see these totals. Well, we were able to do, because we did that, and every time any of us got paid, we would filter it through these categories. And throughout the summer, from like May to September, we were able to do different things for the house. We were able to put up a privacy fence. We were able to pay for, we have 2 young dogs, and I'll tell you that story in a different podcast. We have 2 young dogs, and one is a Jack Russell Chihuahua mix, and her name is Zoe, and she hurt her back. And it was like the 4th time in a year where she was like really, really hurting. And she's a big time jumper. Anyway, she hurt her back and ended up with having this very expensive surgery. Well, she's only 3 years old. But anyway, we were able to afford this very big, expensive surgery because we did our money this way. And we were able to we had this big garden out front, and we grew vegetables and a couple of fruits, even cantaloupe and some watermelon. We weren't terribly successful at it, but that's my fault. But we were able to do things. We got things fixed on the house. We were able to buy new things. But at the same time, all these categories were getting filled. And so then as I stand back and I look and I go, I think I would do the same thing with business. And somewhere in here, the epiphany hit me where I'm like, that is why my boot camp business failed, is I just wasn't ready. I didn't have categories. I didn't have one for home and one for business and one for savings and one for marketing. I didn't have my money organized. And I have to say, and even as I say this out loud, I have to say that I'm really embarrassed about that. But then I say, I don't want to be embarrassed about it, but where would I have learned that? I didn't go to business school. I wanted to do things on my own, but where would I have learned that information? Who would have taught me that? And I have to say, it's like, there's part of me, it's like, I want to be embarrassed because, back then I was, 40 years old or whatever, or 39 years old. And I'm like, how would I have known that information? I can't know what I don't know, right? Until I know it. And so here we manage our money so differently. but now I don't have fear. Now I'm empowered. So in this business with my podcast, and I'm creating videos and I'm creating courses and webinars, and it's like, and you guys will get access to this stuff when it comes out. It's not created yet, but I'm creating it right now. And I'm building this audience, and I'm reaching people, and I'm helping people, I hope, and I'm trying to, communicate. And I'm like, dang, this is the knowledge that was missing, is some freaking budgeting categories. And it was the easiest thing to do. So even if you make freaking $500 a week, you still could do the same thing. And it just puts you in the driver's seat of your financial life. It puts you in the driver's seat. And then you can say things like, so I'm going to fill up my savings. How much should I put in my savings account? If I get it to $3,000, do I stop putting money in there? I say no. I say keep going. But you can adjust the percentages. So we went from 20% in our savings, and now we've got, I don't know, we got $5,000 in there. So I don't know. I have no idea. But then we went, okay, so now this other thing. So Jen's starting this business. So let's make that percentage 20% and make savings 10%. And then we filter in, because now we added another category that was 0. And so now we want to build that category up as fast as we can. And I tell you, if you are having at all a wealth issue, a money issue, a financial issue, and you want to make more money, or you want to be in control of your money, please make categories. And even if you bring in $33 for some, I don't know, you clean somebody's house and they paid you $33, is take that $33 and put it through your category percentages. It may seem juvenile, and if you're listening to this and you have money and you have this, bless you, and I'm so glad that you do. But if you don't, try it, because it is something that was so very, very empowering for us. And it's so interesting, because it was just that creating those financial categories that then gave me this empowerment with my money, which then kind of bled over into other areas of my life. I'm like, what other areas of my life do I need to have categories? So as I'm creating my business, which part of it is this podcast, and there's other pieces to it, is I created other categories: marketing, my recording, any blogs I'm going to do, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, is then I have now control of those areas. Like, what do I want this one to be at? What do I want to do with YouTube? What do I want to do with Instagram? And I was able to set those goals, set those intentions in each of those categories, and then I can stand back and I'm less overwhelmed, I'm less chaotic, and I feel 100% empowered. And from me to you, that is what I'm trying to give you. So many times, so many of my clients are like, I have no control in my life. And I control the only thing I can, and that is food. Or I spend all my money, because I can control that. I get my paycheck, it's $750, and I go to Amazon, or I go to the store, or I go out to eat, or I go to the movies, and I spend my money, because that's where my sense of control is. Now, control and empowerment are not the same thing. Empowerment is you are in control. When you want control and you spend everything, you're in control, but you are not empowered. Okay? So, but please, I challenge you and I ask you, if you love these podcasts, if you love listening to them, I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're listening currently. You have no idea when I look back at my analytics and I'm like, oh my gosh, that one got two views and that one got 3 views. I'm like, I'm so excited about that, because I'm reaching people, and you ladies are my peeps. I am here for you. And the only thing I ask from you is if you could come over to the Facebook group and just say, hey, you know what? I really loved this podcast. Can you do more of that information? Or, hey, I love this podcast, but a question I have, can you address this in one of your podcasts? I would be elated. I really would. So my Facebook page is Jen Mack and Lady of the Mind. So JenMac. Because it's short for MacArthur, but I don't go by MacArthur. It's Jen Mack. So, and Lady of the Mind. So come over, join the group, post, how these podcasts are how I'm doing for you. Like, What are you liking? What are you disliking? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? All of that stuff is feedback to me, and you will not hurt my feelings, I promise. So I hope this found you well. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. And if so, please come over to that Facebook group and give me a little feedback. I would love, love, love to hear from you. And let me know what you're struggling with. Like where are you struggling with in your life right now in the areas of health, wealth, and relationships? And what is stopping you from taking that next step? I look forward to talking to you. I should stop saying seeing you. I look forward to talking with you in the next podcast. Take care. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this episode, please take the time to like and share. Also, please visit me on my other social media pages. I'm on Instagram, Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. I'm on Facebook, where we have this community titled Life Mastery Decoded, and it's a community of women and women entrepreneurs where we come together to support one another in sharing our successes and struggles. You can also check out my YouTube channel, where I share my teachings and my personal journey, and it's simply titled Jen Mack, Jenmac. Have a great day, and I hope to hear from you.